Hi, I'm Teresa Norton. Welcome to The View from Abroad. I am the Broad, and this is the podcast that each week takes a look back at one of the columns I wrote for a Hong Kong newspaper sometime between 1993 and 2000, and I wrote on all kinds of stuff. Parenting, marriage, political correctness. Well, actually, it's kind of funny that I wrote about political correctness because looking back on some of those columns now, some of them don't feel terribly politically correct. But, that is some of why I feel it's worth talking about for that very reason. And each week I start this podcast by reading one of those columns, and then I have an interview with a guest, and we discuss how and if our opinions and beliefs have changed over time, and if they have or have not, why. So my guest this week is Henk van der Steen, who is an improviser both on and off stage. He co-runs Troje, a small Dutch training and consulting company that work with government. They work in education and healthcare, and that's all happening in the Netherlands, where he lives with his family. And they are applying the practice of improvisational theater to help make the world a better place to live in. That's nice. So before we talk with Henk, we're going to kick off with that newspaper column I sent to him last week. It was published, as I said, in the South China Morning Post Saturday Review section, sometime between 1993 and 1996. The mother of all inventions. I don't know. Maybe I'm nuts, but in spite of the progress mankind has made in areas of science such as automatic home knitting machines, cup of noodles, and open heart surgery, I can't help but feel disappointed in technology today. Why are we still taking our kids around town in station wagons? I grew up in the United States during the space race, watching television shows about being lost in space with the Robinson family or their cartoon counterparts, the Jetsons, both of whom owned big old honkin' robots who did all the stuff nobody else wanted to. By now, I fully expected to be wearing a metallic spacesuit and helmet, living in a saucer-shaped home, and firing up the kids' jetpacks and shooting them off to birthday parties on other space stations. What happened? I don't mind about the robots, and I have to say a silver bodysuit is not the look I want to know better. But where the hell are those jet-propelled backpacks we were supposed to be able to strap on? To be honest, I didn't care that much about exploring new frontiers and meeting new life forms. I didn't have any real pets as a child, so I wasn't all that comfortable around the non-human life forms I'd already seen. But I was really looking forward to those jetpacks. That is my biggest disappointment about the future, now that I'm in it and it's turned into the present. Actually, that last bit of present just turned into the past. Well, I hadn't thought about those jetpacks since I was a kid until the other day in the station wagon. Mom, did you have candy when you were a kid? My boy, there has always been candy. Before the Big Bang, there were Mars bars. The Ice Age brought frozen Mars bars. In fact, we may be entering a new sort of volcanic era because I was just reading about some dude in Australia who's begun deep frying the humble bar. Chocolate had no beginning. It is infinite. Did they have color television when you were born? Well, no. We did have... Whoa! Did Grandma and Grandpa have one of those old black and white TVs when you were born? Television had certainly been invented by 1956, but not everyone had one of their own. Man, oh man, did they at least have light bulbs back then? Once we had established that Ben Franklin had already flown his kite by the time I entered the world, we worked our way through a catalog of home appliances that had not been invented when I was born. Microwave ovens? No. Pocket calculators? Not till I was a teenager. Video games? Compact disc players? Afraid not. Walkmans? Negative. Cassette tapes? We had something called 8-track tapes, but, we had appliances like ovens and toasters and electric shavers. Blow dryers? Hair dryers with bonnets. Does that count? What's a bonnet? Isn't there anything you didn't have back then that they still haven't invented? There had to be something. I was feeling about 379 years old. I don't know, honey. Grab your backpack and let's go. Bingo! I described the prototype of the jetpack and how we were all meant to be doing this sort of high-octane hop across town by now. Ah, cool. Cool is right. Cool and not here yet. We need to know that there's still cool stuff to come. Do you think they'll have it ready by the time I'm old? Sweetie, if you're lucky, they'll just be working the kinks out. What are the kinks? He asked. An ancient form of musical entertainment, I hollered over my shoulder as I did a high-octane hop up the stairs and began humming the first few bars of So Tired, Tired of Waiting. Henk van der Steen, welcome to The View from Abroad.
Great to be here.
Oh, it's so nice to have you here. It's so great to see your face. And we're in closer to the same time zone now that I've moved to Portugal, which is very cool.
Only 1 hour away. Yeah.
And when we first met, it was where neither one of us live now. We met in San Francisco.
We did. We met at a conference in 2004, I think, or 2006 maybe, at the Applied Improvisation Network conference.
That's right. And you and I were like the two little naysaying skeptics who would come out of those workshops and go, look at each other and go, no, was it relevant? What do you think? Was it relevant? What was the name of our committee?
We started the International Relevance Committee, the IRC, and we had a little hand gesture as well there.
We did. And there were only two members,
yes.
You and me.
Yes. We were the board and members, and we didn't allow anyone else to join.
Because they might not be relevant. Well, it's so funny. Perhaps the reason that you came to mind is because this whole podcast is about looking back at things that felt important early or felt funny or felt like an insight or a learning early in my life, and then saying, is it relevant today?
Right.
So, look, we listened to that column and I did take some notes.
Good.
Some of the things that sort of stood out to me. One point was I was extremely irritated about no jetpacks. That was at the top of the list. Another thing was, that whole idea of robots that were going to do all the stuff that nobody wanted to.
Right. Yeah.
And who could have predicted just how relevant that is at this point in time, right?
Yeah. There's a nice internet meme that went viral a couple of weeks ago. It was a little cartoon that said, I want AI to do my dishes and not my creative work.
Precisely, right? Well, listen, I remember hearing an interview. It might have been a BBC interview, and it was with a fellow who was promoting the artificial intelligence and saying, "Don't be frightened of this."
No.
He said, "This is going to eliminate all work. I mean, everyone will just have nothing but free time." And I thought to myself, nothing but free time.
Terrible.
Yeah, are we going to end up like the lotus eaters in Ulysses?
Yeah, or even did you see the movie WALL-E, where it ended up with people just doing nothing, being lazy and fat, and just floating around the entire day? I think it's terrible. Doing nothing is really
right. Well,
that's the scary part. Yeah.
That's the scary part, is doing nothing at all. Like everything's going to be taken. I think part of the fear is my job's going to be taken away from me, and I don't have the skills to do something else, or I'm going to have to learn new skills. Yeah. And I certainly appreciate that is a very real concern for people. But this guy on this podcast was just saying, "Oh, you won't have to worry about making money anymore. The robots will do everything."
How do we know that you are actually real right now, Teresa? How do we know that you are not an AI?
Here, you can pinch me.
I can't because you're in Portugal. I'm in Amsterdam. I'm not sure who I'm talking to.
Well, listen, the other thing that I underlined here was this line that said, we all need to know that there's still cool stuff to come.
Wow.
And that I love that sentence. I could pull that sentence out and just live on that sentence today. Absolutely. That that sense of hope,
Hope. Yeah.
of a positive, happy anticipation
Hmm.
is something that I think whatever age you are, whatever stage you are in your life, if you can get a hold of that.
It also reminds me there's a real much English proverb that we use in our family actually quite often. It says, "In the end, everything will be okay, and if it's not okay, it's not the end."
Yes, that's right. That's right. I had a friend say to me, everything in life gets solved or resolved one way or another.
Ah, right. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of hope in these times, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I noted here that Sam said to me, "Whoa, did grandma and grandpa have one of those black and white TVs when you were born?" Well, the fact of the matter was that they didn't. And in fact, my dad was very old school about new technology. His saying was, he used to say something like, "Well, just one more thing to break." So we were not the first people on the block to have color television.
Ah, yeah.
Right. Did you have a black and white TV in your house?
Well, I was born in '69, so I can basically recall my earliest memories of TV were actually color TV, because I do think that my parents had a color TV quite soon, and I think because I'm born in the year that the moon landing, from the year of the moon landing, right?
Right.
I'm from March '69 in the moon landings, I think in June or July '69. So that was a huge television moment. And I think my parents, shortly after that, they put all their savings together and they bought a color TV where actually the neighborhood would come and watch TV. So that was after the moon landing, but the moon landing was an important thing. And it still is an important thing in my life, because so many times I hear so many stories about the year that I was born in, which makes it sort of a special thing to me as well.
Yeah, that was, well, I don't have a TV set.
You don't? Oh,
no,
good.
When I moved in here, they've got all the places to plug things in. And the guy said to me, "Now, do you want to have the TV set here?" I said, "I don't want a TV.
Wow.
When I watch things, I watch it on my computer." So
you see, that's what happens.
Yeah. I love this idea of, gathering around the TV set, or, in the earlier days, gathering around the radio.
It's the same what happens right now. It's right now there's the Olympic Games are going on in Paris, right? And I see on my TV set, I see images of there's a thing called the Dutch national team house, where I think 6,000 people are watching on a screen together.
Oh, wow.
So they're watching sports together. And I think we do it all the time. Also with the European Championship football, people gather around and want the collective experience of looking at something, although it's artificial, it's there on a screen.
Listen, I think we should take a little break, because I want you to share a little bit about the charity that you've chosen for this little interlude before we come back, and then you share what sentence or idea brought up a memory for you out of that crazy little thing. Well, listen, Henk, I know you as an applied improv consultant. As we said, we met back at that network conference in San Francisco. I understand you are a mountain biker, which is, you're going to have to explain mountain biking in
the flattest country on earth, in the Netherlands. It doesn't make sense at all, but we still do it. I mean, we're a biking country, right? We have more bicycles than people. So I also have two bikes. I have a regular bike and I have a mountain bike, because I want to bike in the woods.
Is a mountain bike more sort of like a steep incline bike, or?
Nah, it's just an off-road bike.
Okay.
They just call it mountain bike. It's silly. It doesn't make sense.
Well, you're also a great family man. You're a keen cook. I understand. And I just want to say this, and I hope it doesn't make you feel uncomfortable, but from the minute I met you, I knew you were a good guy, one of the good guys. And I love that you have chosen to take this commercial break and plug a charity that you feel deserves more attention. Can you tell us about All Out and why it feels important to you?
Right, yes. So All Out is an international organization. It's a relatively small organization, but they campaign for rights and sometimes even the survival of people that belong to the rainbow community. Let's say, so the LGBT plus community. I like to call them the rainbow community because it includes everyone there, and I don't forget one of the important letters. So they campaign, they create awareness, especially for people in countries where people from the rainbow communities either don't have any rights, suffer, or actually just get. I mean, there's countries where there's still the death penalty or other really severe things there. So where people cannot be who they actually are. And for me, it's important because I have a statistical, pretty impossible thing that I have 3 children, and all 3 belong to the rainbow community.
Wow.
So I've got a bi, a trans, and a gay child, and I'm so happy for them that they're living in the Netherlands, where they can actually be who they are and
love who they love.
And who love, yes, absolutely love who they love. And so I know that there's places on earth where it's really hard for other people. Please support allout.org. Go to their website if you can spare just a little bit of your money to make their work easier or better, or campaigns, so support their campaigns.
I tell you what, it's
wonderful.
A great website. It's wonderful. Yeah. I took a look at it, and it's just it's fascinating to watch, page after page come streaming by, and it just raises your awareness of how fortunate you are if you or your children, your loved ones, your family members, your friends who are part of the rainbow community can love who they love in safety. So thank you so much for sharing that. It's All Out, one word, allout.org. And we encourage you to check that out. And we're back. Henk, what word or phrase from that column about all things invented unearthed a memory of something from your younger days that may or may not still hold true for you?
What was the entire concept of technology on the one hand, and on the other hand, I mean, you living in Hong Kong and writing for a Hong Kong newspaper, that pretty easily brought up a memory of me traveling through China and Hong Kong in 1969.
Wow.
And I was
1969. Weren't you just born
1996,
then?
1996. I'm sorry.
You were in utero traveling through.
Yes. No. 96, okay. 96. So that was actually in the time that you wrote your columns. And I was a sort of a enthusiastic amateur photographer. I had a really nice, nostalgic Nikon FE camera, which was a really analog camera, and we made slides so we could have slideshows at home. There's for the younger people, that were the moments that you would bore your friends and family with 2 hours of a dark room and a screen and a slideshow projector.
I'm just laughing because I had an uncle who used to do that, and it was just like, oh my
terrible
gosh.
Yeah,
700 pictures of Yosemite.
Right. Yeah, and then I thought I was a good storyteller, so I didn't think that my family was bored, but I'm pretty sure they were just really being very friendly. So when we were in Hong Kong, we made pictures of people that we found really, really weird, really strange, because they were people using mobile phones on various locations, in the cinema, in the restaurant, and the for us, weirdest of all was somebody riding as a passenger on a motorbike, using his phone, riding through the street. And we said to each other, I was there with my girlfriend back then, now my wife, and we said, well, this will absolutely never, never, never happen in the Netherlands. So when we went back to Holland and we had our slideshows, we had a funny story about that person riding on a motorbike, and we would really laugh at those really strange, stupid Hong Kong people there. So that happened, and then fast forward to about 2008. No, I mean, a little back, I always thought myself as a bit of a front runner as it came to adapting new things or technology. I mean, you're an improviser, so you get used to new stuff. So we had mobile phones when we started our company in 1998, and then and we just used those flip phones, and they were wonderful and nice, and we were all reachable, very, very, very. Very easily
accessible. You weren't taking that flip phone and then sitting on a bicycle built for two and looking at that phone, though.
We thought it was stupid. I bet that you just don't do it. That's the idea. But then my colleagues in around 2008, they bought iPhones, and I said, so what are you going to do with it? They said, well, you can take pictures with it. I said, why? Why would you want to take a picture with your iPhone? I have a really great camera. I changed into digital cameras, and then I had a huge, nice digital camera with removable lenses and a pocket camera. And I said, well, I have a great camera. Why should you have the possibility to take photos all the time? So that didn't really age well.
So, you're sounding more and more like my father. Why would you want a camera in your phone? It's one more thing to break.
Right. Yeah, so true. And I mean, I had something that worked. This is the same with your father. I mean, it works.
Hey, listen, I tell you what, I am still, I would say, a preserver. Yeah. I took a psychometric test. It's a tool that my son and I use in our business. I do coaching, and he's now qualified to do these assessments using the Workplace Big Five. And it measures different elements of personality. And one of the things was about the degree to which you embrace change. And here you and I, maybe this is why we were the two skeptics at the AI Henk conference. My score for change was so low. But you know what was good about knowing that about myself? When I saw that, I thought, where is this getting in my way? Right? It's an element of my personality. It's part of who I am. I'm not ashamed of it. It's not that I think it's a bad thing, but I need to look at it and go, in what situations does this clinging to the way we were get in my way?
I find it really hard to believe that you're low on change. I mean, you're 68 and you moved from Hong Kong to Portugal. That's a big change.
Listen, I am a work in progress. That's what I'm saying. You see where you get in your own way and you overcome these things. I am a great preserver, though, in terms of things like, it sounds like, as you do, hold on to things that are still working. Don't just throw them out for something new for the sake of it. Yeah?
Yeah, it's true. It's the same with so when the introduction of smartwatches was there, right? I had a sports watch, right? I had a watch that could do my heartbeat and my distance when I had my runs. So and again, why should I want? That was the other thing. Why should I want my WhatsApp messages or my email on my watch? I didn't get that, and up until now I don't have an iWatch.
No, I don't want that either. I think this is how old I am. I think back, there was a cartoon strip when I was a very little girl, and it predated my birth. I have to flag that. It was called Dick Tracy, and Dick Tracy was a detective, and the thing was, he had a watch that was like a phone.
Your Dick Tracy is my Michael Knight from Knight Rider. Do you remember him?
Okay.
With Kit, his car, and and right now I'm talking to my car. I'm doing it, which is stupid.
Well, listen, the whole question is what is relevant today? And I look at all this stuff and I think, what do I need to learn from looking back at that column? And I think I need to continue to try and keep an open mind and also be okay with the fact that I'm a preserver, because that serves me well in some situations, and be aware of where it gets in my way in others. How's that?
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's also, I think, one of the great things that we're having. I mean, we're having a Dutch version of eBay, right? So but eBay, our thing is called Marktplaats. It's sort of an open market where people sell their secondhand stuff. And I think this is just such an incredible, great thing to just be aware of what you're actually buying and see if it's already been produced for you. And when I get older, I mean, I get worried more and more about the planet. I try not to fly anymore. Yeah. I try to preserve a few things. Yeah. So if you're a preserver, I think, well, buy secondhand. That's
right. Yeah. Now maybe we start. There's the International Relevance Committee. Now we start the International Preservers Committee, and we're going to open that one up. It doesn't just have to be you and I in that one.
We change there, Teresa. We change from IOC to IPC.
We're growing. Hey, listen, thanks so much for joining me on The View from Abroad, Henk Steen. And thank you so much for sharing about that magnificent organization. It is called All Out, one word. You can find it online, allout.org. Give if you can. It's a really good cause. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And remember to breathe all the time. Come up slowly because, hey, what if it's good?